What's going on, everybody? Hopefully that gets everybody in Christmas spirit. We only have like 3 Christmas songs, so if that song sounds familiar, you're going to hear it a lot this week because it's Christmas week, and we're trying to keep everybody in the spirit. And I believe Hanukkah's still going on. Happy Hanukkah to everybody celebrating. Happy holidays just in general to everybody out there. Hopefully it's a quick work week, but I know these holiday weeks tend to drag on. Everybody's getting ready for the end of the week. I'll try and get you through it weather-wise as well. It's not going to be too tough to do that because it does look like we have a pretty quiet week in weather coming up. I will have to see if Molly's here today coming up after me because I haven't seen her today. So she may be off. So not sure what we're doing news-wise after this, but I will let you know. First, I will do my thing, and that is weather. And we'll do it pretty quick today because there's not too much to talk about. Generally speaking, there is a stalled out front to the south this time of year. Whenever you have a front down in this area, you have to watch out for a storm. And there will be one on Wednesday, but what we're going to lack around here is what this is, and that is the front that came through yesterday that's bringing in some warmer air. So what we lack is cold air around the region to get any sort of snow. So the storm that's going to develop is likely a rainstorm, and right now models are focusing kind of it down to the south here. Cold air is kind of trapped up to the north. Big area of high pressure starting to push into the northwest. That's important because these are the drivers for those Santa Ana winds. I believe winds are expected to kind of kick back up in Southern California here over the next few days. So that's unfortunate with the wildfires still going out there. So we're keeping an eye on that. Outside here in D.C. right now, it is 48 degrees. So it's not all that bad. It really isn't. It's 48 degrees. I'll share a little bit. My head's cut off. Again, mix of clouds and sun out there today, but we're not expecting weather to be a huge deal around here. Let's get straight to the models. I'll show you what I mean on Wednesday. And let me kind of zoom things in. You know what? Let's go to this is the newest model that's rolling in kind of as we speak. It should go out far enough now that we get Wednesday. So it's sort of worthwhile. Again, today's fine. Tomorrow may be our warmest day of the month. And let me get rid of this so everybody can see. Tomorrow might be our warmest day of the month. You got high pressure sitting down here, which isn't the most ideal position for a warm day for us, or like record warmth or anything like that. But it is in a good position for getting a southwest flow going, and that'll warm us up over the next few days. That's the storm I was talking about that's going to develop along the stalled out frontal boundary. There it is. It gets semi-close to us, but what you don't see a lot of, and notice that you see these red dashed lines kind of that go right here. Look for the blue dashed lines, and the blue dashed lines kind of here, here, and here are what you need to be under to be able to get some snow. And it's not all that far off to the north. It's kind of sitting up over Pennsylvania, that 540 line. We like to see that farther south. So I suppose it's worth saying we have an eye on. How was it, Tuck? You did great with the singing.
Just got back.
Just got back? All right. So cold air is it's close. It's there across Pennsylvania, but I don't think you'd need this storm to get off here pretty quick to be able to tap into some of that colder air and bring it down. It's close enough that we'll watch it. Right now, I don't have too high hopes for it, and I don't have anything showing it. And you see, it kind of takes that route out to sea instead of the storm moving up and out. It's taking this route kind of straight out, and with that, you're going to have trouble getting any sort of. You're going to have trouble pooling the cool air down far enough with that sort of a track. So again, and it's really not that great of a week in terms of getting colder temperatures in here in general. I'll pull up the 7-day forecast in just a minute and show that, guys, to you. Remember what we talked about this week for let's see, for getting for why we're going to be warming things up this week. We're warming things up this week because of there's no more blocking. All this blue, and let me put my picture back up. Hello. All this blue up to the north here, across Greenland, across northern Canada, that's cold air recharging. But it's not coming south, which is, if you're kind of sick of the cold we had last week, big upper high down here is pumping up the southwest flow, and this is the upper level pattern. And whenever we're under the oranges and the reds and the yellows there, we're dealing with, generally speaking, above normal temperatures, and that will be the case here as we head through the next few days. Here's the globe from the top down. Look at all the pinks, the purples, the blues, and notice how they kind of cut off at the northern Canadian border there, and the greens and the yellows are making it up into our neck of the woods here. So the cold's kind of staying to the north, and it will kind of rotate around up there, but it won't really head south. Let me it's at the bottom of your screen there. Let me pull it forward, see how it kind of rotates, and that's Wednesday, Thursday. It does poke down for a day, but then it kind of goes away as we head into Christmas week. You're going to get a storm that goes up, say, Friday, Saturday time frame, that goes right up into the Great Lakes. And when you're on the eastern side of these storms, you stay warm. When you're on the western side, that's where you want to be for snow. So watch out, if you're traveling this weekend, Chicago, even St. Louis, those are locations that could potentially be dealing with snow this week. And I'll talk much more about travel forecasts coming up a little later on this week. But the cold will come back. It's not gone forever. And it's watch as we get out, between Christmas and New Year's. That's now December 26th, 27th. Look at the cold air invasion coming back down as we head into the days beyond Christmas. But before New Year's Eve, we're really starting to bring the cold air back. And with that cold air coming back, we will have the chances for snow, I believe. Let's do some pattern stuff. Again, this is kind of today with all the blocking gone, but the blocking starts to return as we get into the weekend here. See that nice big blow up here towards Alaska? That's kind of sign number one that you're going to start moving cold air down from the north to the south. There it is up in Alaska. Looks like it's going to dive into the west first. That's early this weekend on Saturday, Sunday. And then the question is, how fast does it go from, say, west to east? That's the big question we have here next week. Right now, the majority of the models don't bring it in by Christmas time. And instead, I mentioned before, Friday, Saturday storm. Where's your storm going to be? It's going to be in the weakness between this guy and this guy. So the weakness is kind of right up there. So that's the favored storm track as of now. What you want to see if you want snow here in D.C. for Christmas Day, let me kind of swing this forward a little bit to Christmas Day. Right there. So that's the day before. This is Christmas Eve now. We're getting into Christmas Day. Now, this is kind of Christmas Day afternoon, which is 192 hours out right now on the models. So the European, which is generally my favorite, has all the cold air kind of suppressed off to the north and west of us here. If there was going to be a storm track, it'd kind of go up the Appalachians there, and your snows would be to the north of town. One little ray of hope for us here in DC is if the American model's right. So this is for the same time. Notice your date up here at the top. So same time, two different models. The American's a little more aggressive with getting cold air down into DC. And then where's your weakness between the two? Your weakness is kind of in this area. And then you have the potential for maybe a little bit of storminess around that. I like the idea of storminess coming in at the end of the month. I think Christmas is a little too soon. I think the Euro's probably better with getting the cold air in here timing-wise. So I think in the days after Christmas, that's honestly, guys, that's a pretty good storm pattern. If you're a weather nerd watcher like I am, you got your cold air supplier up there dumping cold air in. You don't have the best block up here, but there's still enough. That feature's strong enough up there that you could overcome it. And you got some weaknesses down south and general southwest flow up here. So this isn't the worst storm pattern in the world. And usually when these pattern changes occur, you do get some storminess. So I do think we have to watch out. I don't think Christmas Day, I think that's too early. But I think that in the days after Christmas, leading up to New Year's Eve, we'll have to watch out for something. Will it be a big storm? Will it be a small storm? Will it be any storm at all? Not 110% sure on that. It's a little far out. But I do think that that's the next kind of time frame to watch, is in that general last week of December sort of thing. So hopefully that makes sense. Beyond then, we just kind of settle into the cold pattern. There we go. Look at the blues taking over. You're now out to the 2nd of January, so first full day of the new year. Well, I guess the first would be the first full day of the new year. First full work day of the new year. How about that? You got the polar vortex sitting up across northern Hudson Bay. You're cooling cold air down to the south and east. This feature is still strong, but what I worry as we go into November is that this feature up to the north and west here is going to end up pulling back and being more in that range, and that'll put kind of a trough out here in the west, and then you'll build a big ridge up in the east, and I do worry that as we progress through January, and this is kind of what we said in our winter weather outlook, that we'd go back and forth. I think we're going to go back and forth here as we head through kind of the first week of January. Will be cold, and then we'll start getting a little milder after that. And it's back and forth, which is honestly, if you like snowy winters, back and forth is what you want to see. Because if we settle into a just cold pattern, then we'll typically be dry. We're kind of cold and dry, and we won't get much snowiness. 2.2 inches of snow in December so far is a great start, but I'm never satisfied. I want more than that. So it's good to see the waviness in the pattern as long as we can keep the cold snaps coming, because it's the leading edge of the cold snaps, and when the cold starts to pull away, that you have your best chances of getting some of the more substantial snowfalls around here. Let's see. Just another way of looking at things. Again, most of the models, you head out. This is Christmas Day. Right up there. That's sort of your transition day between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. There it is. Look at the waviness. These are basically the higher the hills in the certain color they are. So this hill's nearly 100% of models have above normal temperatures here tomorrow. That's what this is saying. You get out to the day before Christmas Eve, the 23rd, 80% of models, because of the storm going up. We talked about the storm going up west of here. Because of that, 80% of the models have above normal temperatures here. But look at the extendedness. I mean, this is the 25th right here. So let me redraw that. So the 25th is kind of right here. So from Christmas Day is your transition day, or the 26th is your transition day. From that point forward, all the way until this is New Year's Eve right there. That's New Year's Day that's cut off at the end there. The models are heavily favored towards the colder side. So there's your next cold air outbreak coming your way, starting sometime around or the day after Christmas is how things look at the moment. That's kind of something we'll have to watch. Other little pattern things, and again, I don't like to go into too much detail on these because they're complicated, but we have this thing called the Madden-Julian Oscillation, which has to do with precipitation patterns over the Pacific and Indian Oceans this time of year, or any time of year, honestly. It's always ongoing, but it can help give us hints at where the weather here might be headed, believe it or not. Right now, we're kind of we are in phase 7, which is a warmish phase for us here in DC. We were hoping that we'd snap down in the cold 8 in a big way, because 8 is a very cold signal for us this time of year. But we don't really do it. We kind of fade away according to the models, and it's hard to see because they're covering it. But this center circle in here, there's a circle in here. If models are inside that circle, it generally means neutral, and then the forcing's not so strong. You want a nice strong signal. Like this is a pretty strong 7 signal, and 7 is warm at this time of year. So that's one of the reasons why we're pretty confident we were going to warm it up this week. We have to watch out. Again, neutral's fine because then other factors will win out. But if we do, towards the end of this range, which is like the first week of January, if the European ends up being right and we poke in the phase 2 or phase 3 down here as we head into January, those are pretty warm signals. That's a warm phase for us here in DC during the month. And yes, my handwriting on screen is awful, but there's I'd love to be in 1 as we go into January. If we can poke into 1 here, like the GFS is trying to do, then we can go cold as we head into January, and that's good for snow. That's what phase 1 looks like. But you see, if I go forward here, let's up to phase 2. Oh, I see what's going on. Let's change phases here, and you can see that's 8. I went the wrong way. There's phase 2. You see the warm signal here in the eastern half of the country, so that's no good for snow. And then phase 3 is really warm across the northeast, and your cold's kind of centered down, or your cooler than normal temperatures are centered down across the American Southwest. But again, it's if it can keep wheeling. Oop, that's February. I switched months. I was about to say that looked really cold. If we can keep wheeling to 5, you don't want 5. Towards 6 and 7, we'd have to wheel all the way around. But if we can get back into phase 7 in January, that's nice and cold. So that's kind of things we're watching out. Or we can just leave it neutral, leave it alone. Don't have the MJO affect anything, and we'll be fine for the month of January. So, all right, that's all I have for today, guys. Again, we're going to do much more on Christmas travel coming up. We're going to do more things on, Christmas in DC and how we can get more snow and what the snowiest ones have looked like and best Christmas places to hit. I'm feeling holiday themed here this week, so we're going to try and have some fun coming up. All right, I'm going to go, let me end you with the 7-day forecast here, just in case you were curious as to what we were shown online today. Here it is. We went 57 for today, 60 tomorrow if we hit it. Would tie us for the warmest temperature of the month, but the record's 70-something, so we're not going to come close to it. Wednesday is, we're watching that storm just to our south. If it gets a little farther north, we'll see. But even if it did, it honestly kind of looks like a rain event to me. We'll see. We'll just kind of have to watch it over the next day or two. We'll see how the trends go. First day of winter officially starting. We weather folk consider it the first day of winter on December 1st, but the winter solstice itself, 11:29 a.m. on Thursday. That will be when winter officially begins. It's the shortest day of the year, and then starting on Friday, we get a few seconds of daylights back, kind of each day through the rest of winter here. 51 Friday, you see the holiday weekend is not looking too great right now. Saturday, that storm passes to the west. That gives us our best chance of clouds and showers, and depending on which model is correct, we may have another wave ride the front up on Christmas Eve and give us the chance for yet more showers in the region on Christmas Eve there. So we'll continue to watch it. We'll let you know if the Christmas forecast changes. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Right now, I don't like our odds of a white Christmas, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe things speed up a little bit and the cold comes in a little faster. That's what you need to root for. You want a white Christmas. Let that cold come in a little faster, and then we can be cooking with gas here. But again, I think your next real zone to watch is the day after Christmas up to New Year's Eve. Cold's coming back. There might be a little bit of chaos as it does. All right, that's all I have for today. Let me find out if Molly's here. If not, we'll sign off for today. Take care. Have a great Monday afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow at about 11. Bye, guys. Let's go back to the Christmas music. There we go. Happy holidays, everybody. All right, guys, quick update for everybody. Molly is not here today. She is off. So that's going to be it for today. Fox 5 Live will be back tomorrow at 11. And if Molly's back as well, we'll get Molly back on to do news and other headlines. All right, guys, take care. Have yourselves a very good Monday.